Good evening, free enterprise fans, and welcome to a fantastic Friday night with this race here between Fleury14 and Dr. Cossack. I am joined here by the fantabulous Leggy Starscream. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. I'm super here for a 2-in-1 match. Both of these runners, no one's on the chopping block tonight, but whoever loses this match is going to be fighting for their life. And it looks like we've got a pretty interesting seed to get started. 2 character hunts. Neither runner showing us who the starting character is yet, but character hunts are always interesting in this flag set.
Yep, there is a unique 10, so there will be 3 duplicates. But if one of those characters is not a duplicate and happens to be hiding someplace terrible, like, say, at the end of Vanilla Giant...
Yeah, there could be some really interesting things. Luckily, we only have to do 4 of these 5 objectives, so if there is a character wedged away in the back of Giant, I imagine a number of our runners will gamble on every other key item check before going there.
Absolutely. Nobody really wants to do the Giant to start with, and on this flag set, it is very punishing, as once you enter, the only way to leave is through the quest trigger at the end.
Welcome to the Hotel Giant of Babel. Such a lovely place. Starting Rose's face. So yeah, looks like we do have a starting Rosa tonight, and that's always really exciting to see early. It means you've got your White Mage online, which provides all of that support and utility you're going to need through most of the seed. Plus, if you get a decent bow and arrow on her, and, maybe find a heroine robe or something, she can be your physical damage for a good portion of the seed, all the way through the end game.
Absolutely. Rosa is one of those characters with so much utility. She can be your DPS, or she can be your healer. She just needs some bows, some arrows, a nice staff, a couple of levels.
Yeah, and we'll see where things are going. Rosa is a character who's, we'll see who she gets paired with to start off, because that will really manage to change the timbre of this starting seed. And it looks like we're off.
And tonight she is being joined by her boyfriend. This is a very, very good start.
Oh, and that's a bomb at the bygone spot, but did you see what I see? Did you see what the mother of all bombs is giving out?
Some real nice arrows.
Yeah, so I imagine our runners will be equipping those to Rosa immediately, assuming her starting item is a bow and arrow. We have the Sineki flag on this tournament, which, if you aren't familiar with it, our characters do not come with any armor, and they start with one fairly low tier weapon. But Dr. Cossack giving us the quick check. Rosa's got arrows. Let's go.
Yep, she is going to be our main DPS, at least through the first few fights. And Dr. Cossack going immediately to Hobbs, while Fleury is doing a little bit of looting here, hoping to pick up some nice items in the Watery Pass.
Yeah, I missed what the Cecil starts with, but if it wasn't a black sword, Fleury just picked one up. So that's going to be really good for the Dark Knight Cecil. Also, in that waterfall cave, Fleury pulls out an Ogre Axe, as Dr. Cossack debates whether or not to try and get that Porum out of the clutches of the evil Volvulus.
This is going to be a little bit rough. Porum is one of those characters that you either love her or hate her. She does learn her utility spells a little bit sooner than Rosa, though.
Yeah, and with this party setup, I think getting that Porum is going to be really nice, especially because you have that strong gear ready for... Oh, that's a very edgy bed. As Fleury goes shopping in Kaipo, but with Rosa being your main damage dealer, having Porum around to provide that white magic utility feels like a good call.
Absolutely. And if you pick up 2 heroine robes and 2 bows and some more arrows, you could have 2 heroines just killing things.
Yep. As we see Dr. Cossack taking out Spinny Tornado Lady.
Definitely nice to see her there versus, say, on the moon or in a spot where she gets a lot of physical evade and magic evade. Knows you don't have to worry about that later on.
Yeah. Dr. Cossack going for the full Hobbs loot. Pulls a defense sword, rune axe, samurai armor, samurai bow. That is nice.
That has got to be the most loaded Hobbs I've ever seen.
And with that bandana from that first chest, this is going to be incredibly valuable. Fleury is definitely going for a bit more in the way of looting, but I think Dr. Cossack has gotten the better end of the deal.
And we'll see if Fleury actually checks those chests and takes that Porum, or kind of leaves those behind. But looks like Dr. Cossack is going to go ahead and give us our first look at more Artemis arrows. And our first look at Antlion.
Now that's also an hourglass, which is going to be nice. Against a number of your grind enemies or bosses that don't have the boss pit. That hourglass will shut things down for you.
And Fleury says no to that Porum, not going to be picking up that defense sword and samurai bow, so his Rosa is not going to be rocking the goods in terms of bows.
Yeah, we'll see whether or not that works out. I personally am a fan of filling out my party as fast as possible, and the jump from 2 to 3 is definitely the most significant one. Just I can run down the math later, but now's not the time.
But both of our runners are going to be heading into Antlion just about the same time.
Yeah, Dr. Cossack getting us our first peek at this mist dragon in the Antlion Cave.
The one place, or the one boss, where Dark Knight Cecil is actually somewhat useful.
Right? Yeah, Dr. Cossack with all the extra gear, having actually strapped the Artemis bows onto Rosa. Fleury is still rocking the lit arrows, already through, and wow, that's the Mist Town special.
That is another character check, and because we did find D-Mist, that is a key item check.
Indeed. Though you do have to be careful about how you go into the Town of Mist, because that package will explode on you if you try to enter from the left.
And looks like Dr. Cossack is going to go ahead and go in through the right side. might want to get that key item and then see who that character is.
Yeah. And I wouldn't even bother saving. Ooh, a white shirt is really nice.
Absolutely. When you've got, no second Cecil for Dr. Cossack, but if you've got a white mage that can wear that white shirt, that's fantastic, especially for the end of the game.
Yeah, Fleury pulling a karate robe and a, I believe that's a bow upgrade for Rosa. But yeah, no, I would definitely leave that Cecil there until I've pulled my second crystal sword.
Yep, it's an extremely long check, and you don't really want to spend that sort of time, especially when you're 2 and 1. You're wanting to get as far in advance. It's just very risky, especially if you don't find a big bada boom light sword.
Yeah, we're already seeing a little more divergence from our runners. Fleury opting to go defend Fabul, while Dr. Cossack immediately pulls a Zeus gauntlet here on Mount Ordeals.
Yeah, our runner is definitely getting rewarded for doing some looting tonight. But both of our runners are going to give us the checks. We've got Fleury and Fabul, and oh, that's a blue robe.
Which one is it? It's the long one. And with your Dark Knight Cecil still wielding a dark sword, it's gonna get rough.
Yeah, this is not a fun fight for, well, in any location, but especially when you don't have a ton of, say, J items or people that can do AoE.
Yeah. On the other hand, Fleury found the Baron Guards, and with the Dark Knight Cecil's Black Sword, was able to time the hits perfectly to allow the swoon effect to proc each time, and is rewarded for his troubles with Sheila's cookware that somehow made it up into the king's room.
So a required double dip in Fabul. But Dr. Cossack putting those Cure 2s to good use on those zombie or the skeletons, as they are undead and will take damage from curative items.
Yep. Makes it through the first fight of this alt gauntlet. Actually, I just realized Fleury was in the gauntlet spot while Dr. Cossack was actually in the gauntlet. See what they did there?
They're just trying to make us have to think. But Fleury very soon going to get the great news about Alt Gauntlet.
Yep. Does grab the Zeus Gauntlet, which is a super good pickup. It's one of the best pieces of wrist gear that you can have for your beefy melee fighters.
Yep, an absolutely wonderful piece of gear that can just make your enemy or your characters do even more damage with their big holy swords, hopefully.
Yeah, Fleury does have a stack of Thor Rages. I missed where he picked those up.
I did as well, but will make these fights quite a bit easier and faster.
Indeed. And even with the one less character taking actions every round, I would be unsurprised if Fleury makes it through a lot faster than Dr. Cossack does. Even to the point of potentially saying that Fleury might make it through the entire fight faster than Dr. Cossack.
And Fleury also doing a little bit of inventory management during this whole fight. Nice little piece of tech. You get the items that you need closer to the top, and the stuff that you really don't care about a little bit further down.
Yep. Dr. Cossack throwing out the AoE Cure 2s from the mages. That's definitely going to clean things up nicely. I retract my prediction that Fleury gets through faster.
And probably the most frustrating thing about this fight is that it is before you change your Cecil over to a paladin, so any levels gained on him are completely moot.
Yeah. On the other hand, you are getting at least the experience on your white mage, parentheses, S, close parentheses.
And Dr. Cossack taking a tent and a save. Very understandable. You don't want to have to do that twice.
Yeah, the Alt Gauntlet is a long fight, even in the best of times, and Evil Wall is a jerk.
This is not the dream.
Chat asking, how does a wall really attack you from behind? I mean, look, it's way harder to see it coming in that case. But Dr. Cossack making really good use of Porum, and especially the fact that she learns Berserk as early as she does, to Zerk up that Rosa, and that's almost 600 damage coming off of Rosa's. Very powerful kit at this point.
Yep, Porum showing why she is a very good pickup, especially in the early game, just because Berserk is good. It's real good.
Like, ooh, the synchronized arrow shots. That was nice.
And Dr. Cossack has taken out the wall.
Yeah, Fleury is definitely not too far behind as we see the wall crumbling just now.
And Dr. Cossack going to go ahead and enter, not even going to take a safety save. Feels confident in his Rosa and his Porum to get the job done.
Yeah, Fleury with the very same strategy. This spot inside the temple is usually pretty safe, but that is a really nice pickup for both of our runners. The Magma Key going to give both of them access to underground. It also means they don't have to worry about going through an obnoxious hook route.
And also finding Keinazo up here, this is another one of those bosses that you are glad to have out of the way, because he's kind of a jerk.
Yeah, both of our runners immediately taking some weapons off of Cecil and equipping the best gear they have. Dr. Cossack with the defense sword, Fleury with that ogre axe.
And Fleury taking advantage of the ice weakness on Kenazo. He is weak to ice magic type when the wave is down.
Yeah. Though, if you were worried about Kenazo here, because as we see both runners making different good deal with it, when the wave is up, Kenazo is weak to lightning. And I believe the Rosa started with lit arrows.
But both our runners have finished with ordeals, and I would think would likely be heading down into the underground.
Yeah. Cecil might not have, his best gear yet, but he's still going to do a lot of work. But Chad actually raises an interesting question, which is that Dr. Cossack has not done Fabul yet, and I know that there is a subset of runners out there who like to put off going to Fabul at all until they find the pan. How long do you think Dr. Cossack fades Fabul?
I think it'll really depend on the bosses down in the Fey March and what key items are available from that pan check. Although, if he doesn't find anything good from Fey March, he may go ahead and do part 1 of Sheila and then just do the defensive Fabul then.
Yeah. Looks like Dr. Cossack is making a beeline down to Tomra, which does have a really nice space to loot, but starts off by checking this gated item shop, finds Sylph Summons, and an opportunity to sell off a bunch of those rune rings we start with.
Those rune rings coming from the starter kit. I believe that is the dwarf starter kit. Where you get 10 rune rings. Is it a diamond shield?
Yeah, you also get like the wizard hat, the wizard robe, and and most importantly for our runners, you start with a dwarf axe.
Dwarf axe, a great piece of equipment, allows you to back row glitch a few of your melee fighters. Most notably Kane, who that is the only way to back row glitch him.
And additionally can be used for agility manipulation because it does offer -5 agility. The Sylphs today have a Luca key. And I imagine Fleury is going to join Dr. Cossack down in the Fey March soon. Go ahead.
And Dr. Cossack picking up a Stardust Rod out of one of those chests in Upper Fey March.
Yeah, the Stardust Rod being the best stat stick for a Black Mage. Also finds a Dragoon Spear in the key item chest. Not exactly what you want to see, but will be extremely welcome if you find a cane.
Yep, that's one of his better weapons, although the defense sword is better. Fleury in particular did not pick up that defense sword, but did find out where the warrior's chest was. We'll see if Fleury goes ahead and loots those 3 chests there.
Yeah, Dr. Cossack checking our bosses down in the bottom. And it is either the Elements fight or the Rubicante fight, as well as Antlion down here.
One of those. Elements is not the worst. Rubicante is, well, kind of rude. Kind of rude indeed.
Yeah, both of those spots are fairly powerful in the best of times, especially for a party that hasn't gone through the entire overworld yet. And Rubicante will counter any physical attacks you do with fire too, and in that Leviathan spot, that's a non-trivial amount of magic power.
Yep, that's not really great bosses that you want to see down there. Now, if it's the elements, there are ways to avoid dealing with the worst of that.
Yep. Most of those involve finding a black mage at some point. But both of our runners deciding maybe later.
And we'll see if Dr. Cossack goes ahead and does Defense of Fabul when he goes back to the overworld. Is that required before you can check Sheila 1? I've always wondered that.
I don't think it is. I don't know which way of doing it is faster, because you kind of have to do a weird bit of backtracking regardless. But it looks like he is going up.
And Sheila giving the Earth Crystal. That is a very nice key item, especially fairly early when you're still looking for a little bit of loot.
Yeah, it's also 2 character checks, which is the one place we have in our current flag set where 2 characters will appear. So that's incredibly valuable for our runners, because they are on the hunt for 2 characters. They don't both have to be there, but it's the best odds of finding either of them.
And right now, our runners are pretty character poor, in all honesty. Really haven't gotten a lot of locations open where you can even get a character.
Yeah, neither runner has gone in to check the Baron Inn yet, which is the only other spot they really had available to them. With underground access, there's the Dwarf Castle character, which again is a slightly more powerful spot than what we have. Looks like the second key item from Sheila is the Tower Key.
That's one of those items that you're kind of glad to get, because then you don't have to worry about doing Keyless Tower later on.
Yeah. But Fleury wasting no time, flying directly over to the Troya Castle.
And is going to go ahead and check that treasury.
Again, our runners are early enough into the seed that there's still plenty of good things they can pull here.
Yeah, even a light sword for that Cecil, or 2 power shirts. And more Artemis arrows. That's a thing.
A life staff's always nice. Another Stardust Rod. A coffin, and well, Drain Spear's nice if we find an edge.
Treasury!
That was a pretty nice treasury. Power Shirt is great for just the big DPS. And Life Staff is best in slot for Rosa for healing.
Yep. All in all, that sets you up so that no matter what characters you really come across, you'll probably have some good things to give them to make them effective very quickly.
And Fleury going ahead and equipping both his characters. Looks like we are going to get a Baron in check.
Which I don't hate. In terms of plot progression, this is technically a quote-unquote earlier spot. And with Fleury only having 2 characters at the moment, getting that third character is going to be really useful. It's another Porum, so that's our second dupe of the seed.
Fleury probably not thrilled. Already rejected 1 Porum. Probably really doesn't want the second one, but you do want that key item check. And meanwhile, Dr. Cossack heading straight up the Tower of Zot, gonna get those 2 character checks.
Yeah, this CPU fight is fairly trivial in this first slot. It has 600 HP between the different parts, and when you're swinging for a couple hundred a hit, it's going to go down fast. Now, this second spot can be scary. It is Leviathan.
Now that Golbez on Dr. Cossack's side, that's not great.
Look, he just wanted to come forward and take the crystal from you directly.
And this spot has more than a little bit of hit points, as it is the vanilla Magus Sisters spot. So there's going to be a lot to chew through here.
Yeah. Luckily, if you set it up right, and especially luckily because our runners start with Star Veils, you can have Golbez help you out because he does nothing but sling spells at you. So with the Star Veils up, you can try to set it up so that you're just bouncing everything back at him. Though you do have to get a little lucky early on, because if, for instance, targets Rosa instead of Cecil there.
Rude.
Right?
And Virus 3, well, Golbez has no chill with that Rosa.
Yeah. And we'll hope that Cecil has... Oh, looks like that Star Veil ran out.
This is a little dicey.
Fleury doing a cheeky play. Holy. Going straight into the sealed cave with the Luca key he picked up.
Best thing about the sealed cave is you can see the key item before you have to try and leave. So, could just be looking for knowledge.
Yeah. Nope. That's a door. He's taken a door.
Or you could just do a trap door grind. That's a thing. That's a thing you can do too.
I love this.
Trapdoor a little fast though. Trapdoor also has no chill for Rosa.
Yeah. Gets a Star Veil up, so we'll see who the trapdoor decides to go for this time. Does not get the second Star Veil up on the Porum, unfortunately.
Wanted to try and save a Star Veil if he could. Unfortunately, yeah, lost the Star Veil and lost the small child.
Yep. Dr. Cossack debating on whether or not to go and try and take on that CPU for the Porum that he already has. But I don't think we mentioned what the reward was. Fleury pulled a pass from this fight, from this check, which is going to be really nice, especially if we have to do some cheeky plays to find our characters.
You mean we get to go see the fun dance down in the Troya?
I mean, if the right things are going, it'll probably be a fun dance. Let's go with that.
Somebody's dancing. And yeah, you could turn that into a dance tune.
Anyway, you were saying.
Dr. Cossack is kind of putting the Earth Crystal on the back burner for a minute. Golbez was just a little too rude, but gonna go ahead and pick up second Porum.
Yeah, I don't hate this play. One of the things that happens in Free Enterprise is that sometimes runners start getting tunnel vision on doing particular checks. Knowing when to hold and when to fold on particular fights that may or may not be nasty is such a key skill in this game. And as we see, cleared out that Leviathan in no time, getting his pass for his trouble, and now has yet another tiny white mage to help him take on the world.
Yeah, the thing about this whole party, they could all learn Exit. But we'll see if Fleury has a little bit better luck with this Golbez. Or if he also runs into the same problems.
Kills off the Porum right away. And gets a Star Veil up on Rosa. So Shadow is going hungry tonight for Fleury. Both Star Veils are up now. So this looks to be a much better setup than what Dr. Cossack had.
Now, I do know that that Star Veil ran off awful fast on Dr. Cossack's side. So we'll see if Fleury has the same problem.
Yeah. Hopefully with not needing to revive characters and getting the guaranteed reflex up. Between Golbez playing everyone's favorite stop hitting yourself, and the swings from the characters, there hopefully will be enough damage coming out.
And Dr. Cossack has done part 2 of the pan. We'll see if he wants to go do a cheeky tower key check.
Ooh. Fleury doing some timing shenanigans to make sure that the second Star Veil for Rosa gets off in time.
Yeah, this fight going much smoother for Fleury, and Cecil is just doing Zerk Cecil things.
Yep. There's the Y from Golbez. And now we get to see who these characters are.
This is an exciting check because there could be 2 objectives just right here.
I'm personally praying for the trifecta of the 2 characters in Twin Heart.
I love getting Twin Heart from here because then you just land. Well, no, that was backwards. You start with Twin Heart, you do Tower, or you do Earth Crystal, and then you do Baron. That's my favorite way. That's a foo.
Okay, that's better than an objective. I mean, not really, but like, Fusoya is such a powerful character. Back in form and showing why he is the great and powerful. That's also a Porum. So, welcome to the Tower of Zot Black Mage Emporium, I guess.
Yep, and I think they both have 2 Stardust Rods. So, yeah, that's gonna be nice.
Yeah, we'll see what Fu's spell list is right now. He's at 1300. There's Nuke. Never mind, we don't need to look anymore.
Fu learning that Nuke fairly early, all things considered.
Yeah, that was fairly high up in that spell list order. And this is gonna make hopefully fairly quick work of this Mylon Z.
Yeah. You fall flat into the deep ravine, Mylon.
Deep ravine of my microwave. Oh.
Although you probably shouldn't put rotted flesh in the microwave. That's bad.
Look, this Fusoya is going to put a lot of inadvisable things in the microwave.
But we have found, I believe, 3 out of the 4 fiends. No, 3 out of the 5 fiends. I forget Mylon has 2 forms.
Yeah. And we may or may not have found the 4th, depending on who that Fame Arch boss is.
Only getting a spoon, though. That's not really what you're looking for.
Yeah.
With that Fu, gonna make Dwarf Castle for sure a very good prospect.
You mean Objective Dwarf Castle? What with the Yang? Yeah. So that is actually a really nice pickup. Like, yes, Zot was not an objective, but it was power. You have 2 black mages who are going to do a lot of work. One immediately, one in a little bit. And you have a spoon for whatever you find that objective Edward.
And Dr. Cossack getting through this dwarf castle, gonna see the hand that nobody seems to want to do anything about. Just steal that crystal, and we'll see what Luca is wearing around her neck today.
Indeed. I missed whether or not Dr. Cossack brought Yang along with him, but I think he did purely just on his current party size.
He did. He does have that Yang in his party. And gets a hook.
Apparently Luke is a pirate. That hook's actually a pretty nice pickup. You don't need to worry about going through for the boss checks, but it is another character check. Additionally, it is halfway to the objective number 3.
And Flurry getting rid of his Palom wants nothing to do with that little black mage. Keeping that Porum looks like as an anchor.
Yeah, I think the established meta after 4 weeks of tournament is that melee fighters are a lot better than trying to level up your mages for their spells, because melee fighters get enough HP to survive Zeromus a lot faster, as well as if you pull good loot, you know, Cecil is doing ridiculous amounts of damage early.
And speaking of ridiculous amounts of damage, this is a little bit of a loaded shop. We've got Bacchus wines, we've got coffins, we've got silk webs.
Yeah,
we've even got diet food.
That's a ridiculous amount of damage to your wallet.
But Dr. Cossack going to go ahead and give us this character check here in Eblin. Picks up a third Stardust Rod.
Yeah, I don't hate looting Cave Eblin right now, especially given that, you know, looks like Dr. Cossack is just going to exit out. I personally am a fan of the play of looting Cave Eblin and then selling all the stuff to buy the nice things in the shop, but I guess he bought enough.
Yep, he bought a stack of 10 Bacchus wines. Looks like wasn't interested in the coffins. I think he also bought a silk web.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, silk web is, you know, not hard required to take on Zeromus, but depending on who you ask, it should be. Hits whoever you're facing with a maximum powered slow effect. Flurry finding the King and Queen of Eblin trying to sabotage the Tower of Babel.
Well, I mean, maybe they're trying to help. They're not helping very well, though. But this is a free fight in a free spot. This is not really what you want to see here.
Yeah, you're really hoping to see something like super rude here that, you know, will go down to that one-shot quake like we saw. Instead, you get absolute freeness, and now the question is who awaits us at the top of the tower?
I hope it's not Wyvern, personally. Because Wyvern is a lot easier there than most anywhere else, so
yeah,
I want something particularly rude.
I mean, Vanilla's always not necessarily rude, but at the very least slow. I think it's a pretty mean spot for Ogo. What else could be up here? Well, it's a shiny.
Okay, game, are you going to troll me? I just said I hoped it wasn't Wyvern.
I mean, it could be... I think we've only seen Paladin so far, right?
Yes?
Commentator's curse.
I hate it. I hate it so much. And the reason I say that I didn't want Wyvern there, the magic attack in this spot is so absurdly low that you have a very good chance of at least one of your characters outright dodging Mega Nuke.
Yeah, Fleury dropping the battle speed down to what is affectionately known as Wyvern Standard Time, battle speed 6, in the hopes of ensuring he gets at least a Star Veil or two up before the Mega Nuke goes off.
Unfortunately, Dr. Cossack did not get lucky with that, and Wyvern Mega Nuked his team.
Yeah, an unexpected Wyvern in a spot like this, you can usually expect at least a single wipe. Like, that's your default expectation.
I mean, even though Rosa died, that Wyvern only did 1,100 damage with that Mega Nuke. So Fu is going to show Wyvern how.
Was that nuke?
And Dr. Cossack able to get 3 Star Veils up on his team, and will likely start to whittle down this Wyvern as well.
Indeed. Putting that Porum to good use, getting some Berserks up.
Those Artemis arrows will do quite a bit of work on this Wyvern, as he is a dragon type.
Yep. At this point, now that our runners know who they're coming in and facing, I feel like both of them feel confident in their ability to take down the dragon, as Fleury does exactly so.
And gets a darkness crystal here at the top of the tower.
And now the world is their oyster. In this tournament, runners have had vastly differing opinions on doing moon dives. I know that, in particular, my household is extremely divided on whether or not going to the moon is a good play.
Moon's scary.
Yeah, the moon is scary, but it's also a bunch of dense key item checks, and a character check, and a gated shop, and some really good grind spots, all wrapped up in a nice lunar bow.
And speaking of grind spots, that is one thing I don't think our runners have found, and that is sirens.
Yeah, which can be a little scary, but do you want to know what's made of tons and tons of delicious experience points?
Is it the moon bosses?
It's lunar bosses. Looks like the tower key just has the staff of the Enterprise restocking on Artemis arrows at the moment, as Fleury goes back down to check that sealed cave and maybe go deeper than the first door.
This is a good check. I know that if you have to go up to the moon, you want to make sure that you're not leaving anything behind. Because the moon is a huge time commitment.
Yep.
And if this is something like your harp, I mean, that can lead to another objective. If it's your pink tail, it's just probably a nice piece of crystal sword.
Yeah, but it could be something like the Baron key, which could lead to another It could lead to the Edward. It could lead to one of the other key items we need. Luckily, we don't have to worry about checking the boss in case the item is just a whammy.
Yep, found that demist extremely early in Antlion Cave. So, and there are no boss hunts for tonight's objectives, so you're just free to leave.
Yep, that is a sand ruby. And I think it was Fleury who checked the Kaipo bed. We know it's edge. But looks like Fleury is like, nah. And that could be an advantage for him in case Dr. Cossack decides to walk that sand ruby out.
I think with the Foo, you're not so worried about finding an edge. I don't think we found any decent swords for him yet. So it's just kind of, eh.
Yeah, it makes sense for Fleury, but if you're Dr. Cossack in this situation and you haven't checked that Kaipo bed, you might have in the back of your head, I've already seen 2 of my dupes. What if it's Edward?
Absolutely. I would expect to see Dr. Cossack walk this out. And chat pointing out, that edge does enable, if this is a sirenless seed, enable us to get some sirens.
Yeah, though neither of our runners have been up to the moon yet to check the looter shop. Fleury is going to see the absolutely stacked Eblin Cave shop, stacked with everything that isn't called a siren.
I mean, Bacchuses are sort of like sirens, except not.
Well, they kind of have the opposite effect. Instead of making enemies appear, they make them disappear.
And did find some strength rings there in the armor shop, but a Zeus gauntlet kind of obsoletes that.
Yeah, between the Zeus gauntlet and the strength ring we started with, oh, well, that's
free.
Yeah.
Fight, tenders. Fight.
And Fleury is at 9 key items right now. So if he had decided to walk that sand ruby out and found, the water hag here, he would be getting double XP.
Yep. And double XP, especially if you do head up to the moon, is great for just making sure your grind is done. But
Yep.
Fleury deciding to raise the lunar whale. We'll see if he's just looking for sirens or gonna go for the moon dive.
I mean, even if he doesn't find the sirens, knowing who the character is there is going to be really nice.
I think after the moon, is it just Baron and the giant with character checks left?
That sounds right. Yeah, no, that is correct.
So if we don't find that Edward in easily accessible places, we're not seeing that Edward.
Yep.
Ain't nobody going up through the giant for a character.
Yeah, so there's 3 characters left in the seed. One of the characters whom we haven't seen yet, 1 duplicate character, and 1 Edward.
And we'll see what Dr. Cossack does. I would assume he would take this edge just because it's better than second Porum, third Porum.
Yeah. Now that he's here and he's already invested the time in walking it out, I definitely agree that you take the edge. We'll see who he replaces. And it looks like, yeah, it's one of the kids.
I didn't see if that was his anchor Porum that he replaced.
It was not. It was the leveled one.
And Fleury finding out this is a sirenless seed.
Yeah.
Which I think is a 10% chance of happening.
That sounds about right. But we're going to find out who is up here on the lunar dais. Does Fleury... It's the duplicate edge.
Ooh.
This could be huge. Or not.
Yeah, Fleury is like, I didn't want you in Sealed Cave. I still don't want you. Please go away.
Yeah, Fleury is definitely committing to... I have to imagine Fleury is committing to doing a moon boss grind.
Well, we do still have some freebies available. We haven't seen Dark Imps. We haven't seen the Kaipo Guards.
Yep. I don't think we've seen the karate fight either, and given that we have the Paladin Sissel, that becomes free.
Karate fight is actually guarding the hook route.
Oh, right, yes. I was too busy focusing on the Cid being there, who wasn't an Edward or a Young, that I didn't look at the boss.
But with Fu with Nuke, there are some bosses that may not be free, but are doable.
Yeah. Given the relative strength of the party, I would argue that if you can survive the first couple of opening rounds, Octomammoth is not free, but is fairly doable.
Well, and if Rosa has any of those lit arrows still left, she can put out some work on that.
Yeah, because at this point, really the answer is we've seen a lot of these super rude bosses. So as long as once you poke your nose in, you see who a boss is. If you feel like you can take it, you probably can at this point.
And this is not a bad fight. Just kind of, you can stop the back dolls. Quake hits everything.
And Quake will probably kill off the front dolls before it kills off the back dolls anyway. But we'll see... Oh, or you just one-shot it with Quake, never mind.
Yeah, that's always an option as well.
And that's a Legend Sword.
That's spicy.
One more tick towards our runners completing an objective.
And Dr. Cossack also says no to that lunar edge. He's one of those characters that you do have to gear up, so it makes sense that if you don't have gear for the first one, you certainly don't want the second one. Ooh, ew.
Yeah, Fleury going, wait, hold on. How bad does this guy hit? Turns out it's rough, but not, impossible when you've got a fully online Fu. Does take the reset, though.
This is the highest spot for XP here on the moon. And he is at 10 key items. He does not want to just waste 200,000 on a Fu that doesn't need levels.
Yeah. It gets the first Cure 4 out. So that's going to allow the team to tank the second hit.
And really looking to get the XP, especially on that Rosa.
Yeah.
I mean, if we can get it on Cecil, that would be great too, but...
And the boy lives. Has enough time to throw the life potion out on Yang as well, which is super nice.
That was a masterfully done fight, making use of just the battle speed and just agility shenanigans in general.
And yeah, Rose is all the way up to Cure 4 at this point.
And we find a twin harp. That is ultra required.
Yeah, so at this point we can confirm that the moon is 100% required for completing the seed, because it is gating items for a minimum of 2 objectives.
So you're saying Moon is not haunted?
Always hasn't been.
Now, I don't know. I've seen some pretty haunted moons in my day.
I mean, that's totally fair. This is, once again, a reason of why I personally really like the moon dive play. When it pays off really big.
But Fleury is going to go ahead and stay on the moon, which is absolutely a great idea. You don't want to have to come back up here and fight more bosses.
Yeah, he's only got the one extra objective on lock in his pocket right now. And if it's something like a Baron Key up here guarding the Adamant Rock and Edward, going down, doing things, and then having to come back up would just be the absolute worst.
And we see Ashura here in the Ogopogo spot. Yeah.
Its ward's just long. Like, you get your blinks up, you get a wall up on Ashura, and then you zerk the boys and go to town.
And with 2 characters knowing both Blink and Wall, that is pretty nice.
Indeed.
And then you just Starveil your monk just to kind of throw nukes at her.
Mm-hmm. Everybody's gone Zerkin. Zerkin USA.
And Dr. Cossack has seen the joy that is Dark Knight Cecil at D Lunars.
Goes back in, has a plan for it. As with a lot of these bosses, just if you don't have a plan going into it, they can be super rough. But once you kind of have an idea of what you're doing, you can usually find the tools you need to get through.
And Rosa gets that cure 3 off. So makes it through, gonna try and get that edge up before Dark Knight Cecil goes into his long speech about justice or something.
Yeah. I mean, someday I'll see what he's talking about.
Fleury just working down this Asura. It's just a long fight here.
Yep. Dr. Cossack gets the ninja sword, which is an upgrade for the edge that he, actually has with him.
Probably better than that charm claw.
Yep. And also gets his twin harp, which is honestly the actually important part there. As Fleury continues to slowly take down this Ashura. This fight is never going to be fast, unless you have, like, some powerful melee fighters with decent anti-mage gear. But Fleury is through and gets a rat tail.
Not quite the tail we're looking for. But it could lead to the pink tail.
Yep. Could lead to any number of things, which is honestly the interesting part, because the moon dive does have this balance between, okay, cool, I got everything, and I want to go back early because I'm going to bet that the remaining moon boss fights aren't worth anything.
Now, Dr. Cossack is going to have a little bit harder time. No wall caster, only one blink caster.
Yeah, does have that rune axe. Still in his inventory, so hopefully that gets on the Cecil shortly.
And Bahamut has decided that he wants to be Wyvern today.
Does this count as French vanilla? I don't quite know what the definition is.
I would think so, because it's just a sprite recolor.
All right. But yeah, Cecil is making that defense sword do work as Dr. Cossack takes that unfortunate reset.
And looks like Dr. Cossack is heading out of at least lower lunar subterrane. Ah, I'm being told it's seasonal. Pumpkin spice blarg. That made me giggle. Thank you, Dilbert.
Fleury pulls an adamant rock from Lunar Bahamut. I guess all Bahamuts are lunar in this game. I don't know. We're too deep into this race for me to be witty.
And has decided he has gotten enough value here from the moon, and it's like, nope, we're going home.
Yeah. Dr. Cossack finds the Kaipo guards, goes for an hourglass here, before throwing out the coffin on the board. And going for the cheeky life glitch. I love it.
This is a nice bit of experience, especially with a double life glitch like that. And I believe Dr. Cossack is also at 10 key items.
Yep. So that is going to be just an absolute barrel of experience. Because, especially in vanilla, that officer has the lion's share of the experience points between the guards. So yeah, look at that. 10 levels, 11 levels, 6 levels on Edge, 5 levels in Life 2 for Rosa, and just an apple for your trouble.
Not what Dr. Cossack was hoping for, to be sure.
I mean, there's something about apples and doctors, I think.
But really, Dr. Luge wouldn't be too bad.
Dr. Cossack deciding to fade the Wyvern Altar for now. That's unfortunate because that's the other half of Forge. Which means if that rat tail turns into something, this could spell a bit of disaster.
We'll see if he's maybe looking to leverage that edge and get some sirens. Well, first going to turn in music, because always do your objectives.
Yep. If there's 2 rules of free enterprise, it's do your objectives and check your freebies.
But Fleury heading down into Cave Magnus and going to give us a listen of music.
Yeah, we're going to have the Battle of the Bands tonight, as both of our runners are down here in Cave Magnus at the same time.
Hopefully we get something new. I know that in our latest update, Calamity had added quite a few songs.
Yeah, we're up to like 240 something, I think it is.
Unfortunately, kind of having a hard time getting his party down, but now that Dark Elf has taken out the party, we're going to go ahead and be quiet for a few minutes to listen to some awesome music. And that was a little bit of Chrono Trigger and a pink tail.
Ooh, that's actually going to be...
Go mode.
Yeah. That's exciting for Dr. Cossack is what I'm going to say. Because he still needs to find one more objective after fading the Wyvern Altar.
Yeah, whereas Flurry, looking at his party, he's at Z levels.
Yeah. And, like, the real question is, does Flurry feel confident at this point, or does he spend a little more time grinding before taking on the big Z-Man?
Having watched Flurry, I think we're going to see a very quick Z check.
Yep. Starts off by immediately turning in that Pinktail, getting the crystal, and a useless orb.
That was not the dream for any of his party members.
Nope. But that is a crystal. So that is, in fact, go mode.
And Flurry heading straight back to Troya. Gonna use that pass. Gonna go dance with Zeromus.
Dr. Cossack coming back to do the Earth crystal play. I don't hate it based off the information he has, but unfortunately we know this is going to be a bust for anything he's looking for.
Yeah, we'll find that foo, but we'll only get a spoon from this check.
Yeah, and unfortunately will not find the Edward either. I believe it's the Palom here as well.
But I see a bunch of people putting Z flags in chat. I think they will be very unhappy with us if we don't ask the question.
Yeah, but, like, where am I going to get gold trimmed armor at this hour?
Just DoorDash.
Fair. But in all honesty, we're about to go into the Zeromus fight. I think I've seen Skull Kitty floating around in chat, has recently added a number of new faces and other body parts to the pool of possible Zeromus makeovers. So, Allie?
Well, I guess we're gonna ask, whose butt are we gonna kick tonight? There's a very specific butt I am hoping to see.
I mean, all of the butts in the pool are incredible.
Yes, they are all amazingly done, made with love and care and sweat and tears.
Love and care and derriere?
A little bit of that, too.
Oh, that's an ugly butt.
That's a very, very ugly butt.
Chat seems to mention that it's from Shining Force, which is a game I have played but never got that far into.
I have never heard of it, so...
Well, now you know what the final boss looks like.
That's horrifying. I think I'll stick to things like Stardew.
Yeah. So the Zeromus fight is going to be Cecil and Yang get angry and punchy. Fu and Rosa are going to provide magical support either through healing, and Fu may or may not be bouncing a few nukes around.
And Dr. Cossack says no to that Fusoya.
It makes sense at this stage of the game. You're deep enough into it, you're kind of fully committed to your party. Like, I don't know who Dr. Cossack would want to replace, because he's got a fairly solid triple Zerker setup.
Yeah, it's a tough one. Fu is not a good anchor unless you have a curse string. Otherwise, he's just at that nasty little point where he's between 14 and 28.
Yeah, he comes out of the gate with exactly 20, if I recall.
Yeah, which I think according to math is like near the middle.
Yeah. But the worst part about that is if you want your berserkers to be flying around at relative agility 1, they need to be like at 50 agility or something ridiculous like that, without the curse string.
Yeah, so it definitely makes sense. But Dr. Cossack is going to go ahead and turn in his pink tail, at least get that objective done, and then we'll see if he wants to stay on the Earth and do more of those checks or head up to the moon.
Yeah, it is entirely possible that a line of play could be, say, one of the Feymarch royalty into the Baron Key with Edward at the character check. Unfortunately, we know that the key item that Dr. Cossack is missing directly is up on the moon. And it looks like he might be headed back up there sooner rather than later, which is going to be nice for him.
Yep. Hopefully we'll head maybe straight to that Wyvern altar, as he does only have Wyvern, the Wyvern altar and the Ogopogo altar left. But we do have rocks on Fleury's side.
Oh, and there's the crack boom on Fleury's side. Fleury is finishing with an official time of 1 hour, 23 minutes, and 39 seconds. Oh, sorry, 1:24:39.
GG's to Fleury.
Now, let's see if we can't get him in here soon. But in the meantime, Dr. Cossack is taking on Dark Elves down here in Cave Bahamut. Another one of those fights that can be cheesed with hourglasses because these boys also do not have the boss bed.
And I do believe we are joined by our first place finisher, Fleury14. GG's, Fleury. How did you feel about that?
Well, you can't give me a Chrono Trigger or a Chrono Cross song as the harp song, because I'm gonna jam out to it to my head, and I'm gonna forget, hey, that poem you're supposed to keep down the entire race. You let her get levels. Oops. That was a bummer, and that threw me into a little bit of a tizzy because I was like, well, now Fu's not RA1, and it almost hurt me on the Z fight, but otherwise actually felt really good about that run.
Yeah, so you dove Moon fairly quickly. What was your thought process when you went up there the first time? Were you looking more for the sirens or the Edward? Like, what were you looking for as you went up?
When I went to Dive Moon, I was planning on going bottom up anyway. If I had found sirens, great. I would have, taken a double dragon fight with Artemis arrows and or even just nice to that. Like one of the two would have been fine. Since it didn't have sirens, I was like, all right, well, I have hourglasses. If I have to take random encounters, fine. But if I can really just get one of the bosses down and get to 10 key items, great. And it worked out. Like the first two were both very fast bosses. Little bit of puzzle solving with how do I get everyone to live through DKC and get this 200k, but the Edward thing was definitely something that kind of hung over the race a little bit. For once, I was actually kind of hoping to not get the Baron key, because at that point, like, I can get Edward, but I may have to do the Giant first, so it was a little lucky. But I mean, I thought that the two of the Fame Arch, I was like, that's if I had Holy Swords, maybe, but at that point, it was Fame Arch or Moon. I thought Moon was the way to go.
Absolutely, those were not some fun Fame Arch fights.
Yeah, I just Antlion, like, even if it's not too bad with 2 blink casters, it's gonna take time. And I didn't have a Moonveil for like the relatively quick elements at Leviathan fight. If that was elements, I didn't even bother to check because neither one of those were things that I wanted to do. And so yeah, I thought that Fame Arch was a no-go.
Well, and it definitely paid out for you with the Moon being super ultra required tonight.
Did it have the Baron? Oh, I take it that had the Baron key. Is that where Edward was?
We don't know. Edward is either at Baron or in everyone's favorite Giant.
Yeah. I'm very, very thankful I didn't have to do that. That decision is always a tough one. It's good from a commentating and spectating standpoint, but it's rough as a runner where you're trying to like weigh the pros and cons of going for key items or going for that one character. Maybe it's there, maybe it's not. I don't know. It's a tough one.
Yeah. So the biggest point of divergence between you and Dr. Cossack was he wiped the first time to Golbez and decided to heck with this place. I'm going elsewhere. And so you had the Fusoya where he just did not. He, on the other hand, walked the Sand Ruby out of the cave to get the edge.
Yeah, I didn't remember if I had found a lot. Like at the time, I was like, I don't think I have any edge weapons, and I also, you don't know if your opponent checked the Kaipo bed or not, but if they didn't, they're taking that Sand Ruby regardless, because that could be where the Edward is. So I was like, I want to leverage that information that I have, even if it's information my opponent has, and reset out of the Sand Ruby. The Golbez fight ended up being, pretty straightforward because, 20 minutes into the fight, the mini invent on my shoulders like, don't forget the doors, y'all. So got the levels there from that, and at that point I was like, all right, Cecil's gonna take pretty much whatever, even if the walls were off. I think we're fine. And yeah, once you get if you get Fu early, that is a very, very difficult thing to make up.
Yeah.
Well, and that Fu had nuke. I mean,
Yep.
Right out the gate.
Yeah, Dwarf Castle takes 2 rounds. The Zot fight takes 1 round. It helped a lot in Wyvern fight. Yeah, if you get a Fu on anywhere on the blue planet and your opponent does not, you are bleeding seconds if every fight.
Yeah, and also you were able to just one-shot the dancing dolls while Dr. Cossack had to take a few extra turns. It was not a tricky fight, but it was still a lot longer than cast Quake and win.
Yeah, and I don't think we saw another Black Mage in the rest of the seed. The characters I remember noping out on, Sid was in the hook route. Otherwise, it was oops, the dupes are for him.
Yeah.
There was one Palom also up there in Tower of Zot, but
that's right.
Can't really compare to a nuke-ready Fusoya.
Yeah, for sure. That's right, because I took the Palom and I was like, well, you're getting replaced by the first person who I can cast a Zerk on that I can see. So, yeah.
So, how'd you feel about all those Stardust rods and Artemis arrows?
It was nice. I'm always a little hesitant to burn Artemis arrows early because when your levels are so low and you're probably not rocking the best bows, the increase in arrows is it can help a lot. But there were a couple fights where it came in handy. The Stardust rods, like, of course, have all these Stardust rods. We're not going to give you a character to use it in the early game until Fu, in which case, he has other means. So, the Ogre Axe early was really nice to find. Watery Pass came through. And that was pretty much the highlights of the loot that I can remember. Didn't really find a great bow. I think I was rocking Archer for most of the time. Yang had his assortment of claws, so that was nice. But the treasury was okay.
I think chat rated it. The final assessment was power out of 10.
Yeah, power shirt out of 10 was kind of what I was thinking about that too. So yeah.
Yeah. So you're 3-1 now. You've got 2 more races to go. How are you feeling?
What happens. Like, just put in the practice. The seed comes up. Play your game. Unless you're playing against PK, you don't really need to make any special preparations. Either you win or you lose. So just it's a little sports cliche, but I mean, it's just one race at a time, and you take each race as it goes.
Is there anybody in the 3-1 that you've seen so far that you're like, please don't put me up against that person?
Not really. Like, the only people I generally don't want to face are people that I've already faced in a tournament already. And even then, there's a couple people that I have faced in the tournament that I certainly wouldn't mind facing a second time. But Dusty does not have a loss, and I do. So bummer. But otherwise, I don't put too much stock into like the opponent I'm racing. I just try to focus on what I can control, and most of the people that I feel comfortable with their habits enough to like actually attempt some metagaming plays. A lot of them are in the 0 loss bracket, so I probably won't face them anyway, but I've faced them in tournament before too, so I just want to face people I haven't raced before and just have fun doing it.
Well, that's just a great outlook to have, and we enjoy watching you race.
Even when I do things like make the pre-harp cutscene go longer than it should be when I do the late kamikaze.
Yes.
I'm sure I'm going to hear about that in general chat in a minute.
You were just building up anticipation.
Yes, that's what we'll go with.
Yeah, so do you have any final thoughts on this race, this tournament, anything at all?
I appreciate all the work that all the volunteers have taken in or put the time into to make this tournament run as well as it has so far. Y'all are the engine to this train, and it wouldn't go without you, so it's always very much appreciated, and we'll look forward to next week.
Well, thank you so much for coming in and talking with us. We greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, GG's, and I hope I don't pull you.
Well, we'll have to change it to like a code off or something. All right, y'all have a good night.
And that was our first place finisher tonight,
back on the other side, Dr. Cossack went back down, took out that Wyvern altar, got his forge, and is now kicking the previously seen dragon butt.
Yep, and yeah. Excalibur Cecil go burr. Dr. Cossack did also pick up a nice bit of Hanzo steel for that edge, so is rocking a ninja sword, and I believe it's a Masamune.
Yeah, the dark imps didn't have progression, but they did have that very nice piece of gear.
And our Zerkers are putting out a pretty good amount of damage per round. Looks like 11,000, or yes, 11,000. I'm trying to math. I don't math well.
Well, don't worry about math. We got rocks. This is going to be over shortly.
Rocks are good.
Rocks falls, Zeromus dies, Dr. Cossack finishes in second place with an official time of 1:38.18.
GG's to Dr. Cossack. And we'll see if we can't get him in an interview, and I think we are joined.
How can you hope to outrun him when he's already here?
Hi.
GG's. How did you feel about that
Thank
seed?
you. It wasn't too bad. I was disappointed there was no Edward in Zot.
Yeah, I have to ask, what was going through your head when you went back through there and found that Fusoya waiting for you?
Disappointment. I had the Pinktail, I had the Twin Harp. I figured to go right over to turn it in afterwards, hoping there was an Edward, and go right to Z.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think neither of you found everyone's favorite Spoony Boy.
Probably on the Giant.
It was either there or at the Baron Castle spot.
Everyone had the Baron Key, so...
Yeah, Baron Key was at Antlion at the Ashura spot, so no one was going anywhere near that.
But when you went up to the moon, was there certain bosses you were looking for, hoping to get something a little easy that you could take out with your party and get some level infusion?
Not really. I had Cecil. I was kind of hoping for a Vanilla Foo for better healing. And nuking.
Yeah, unfortunately, Fu decided to go hang out in Zod. But you did get that. You did go ahead and pick up that Sand Ruby and picked up that edge.
Yes, that helped a little bit.
Yeah, especially with the ninja swords that the moon bosses were hoarding today. But yeah, unfortunately, the seed got a little bit of the better end of you today, and you are 2-2 right now. How are you feeling going forward with 2 weeks left?
Not bad. There's still 2 weeks to get 2 more wins. I think I can manage.
Yeah, that's probably the best attitude to have. Trying to think if there's anything else. You have any other questions, Allie?
Nope. Just again, thank you for letting us restream you and putting on a great show.
Oh, thanks for having me. I'm gonna have to watch this back.
Yep, it was a good race. Y'all were pretty neck and neck for a lot of it.
Yeah, I think the two major differences were, deciding to bounce after seeing Golbez and Zot, and then not checking the Wyvern altar immediately.
Yeah. But at that point, I had the 2 key items, and I figured with 2 unknown characters, why not check his on again? It just didn't work out.
Yep. If it had been Edward just hanging out up there, you would have been right there in go mode and ready to go.
Yeah.
Right.
But otherwise, any other questions, Leggy?
Not here. Any final thoughts you want to share with the audience tonight, Dr. Cossack?
Nope. Looking forward to next week. That's about it.
Well, thank you once again, and congratulations on a seed well run.
You're welcome.
And with that, I do believe our broadcast is going to come to an end. I think we are the last race of the night, but we've had a great day of free enterprise. I want to give a huge shout out to our restreamer and tracker, Cubs Rule and Poorly Drawn Bees. Give them a follow. They're great people. And absolutely give a follow to my co-commentator, Leggy Starscream. It's such a pleasure to get to do comms with you.
Aw, shucks. But everyone, go follow Allie before you follow me. You know, like, you can follow all. You should follow everyone, but make sure you follow Allie before you follow me.
Well, thank you. But I think we are going to send y'all off to Tybalt tonight. Tybalt is another one of our community members. I believe he is doing some Final Fantasy IV. Yes, he is doing some Final Fantasy IV, playing around with some of the wacky flags. But yeah, have a great night, y'all. Oh, I'm sorry. It is some Lali-Ho League practice.
Though the new wacky flags did just drop, the new April Fool's Day flags. They are incredible. Do check them out.
But with that, we're going to send you off. Do not spoil. Just tell him and anyone in his chat that this was a great race to watch. But for those who want to watch the VOD back, yeah, just let them know it's a great one. But thanks, y'all, and have a great night.
Bye.